If you like country with a boogie beat, he's the man to meet. If you like the sound of his shuffling feet, he can't be beat. I said if you wanna feel real nice, just ask the rock and roll doctor's advice. Well, the rock and roll doctor maybe would prescribe cannabis oil. I hear it's becoming very popular. I've got a friend who suffered from a long-term illness, which he's tried umpteen remedies and never really made any difference to him, certainly not in the long term. So he's trying cannabis oil, very high in CBD, with just a hint of THC. Now, I went to see him just recently, and I had a taste, a little bit on my tongue, when it's mixed with olive oil, and it is, well, I could drink it all day long actually, but that's me. Whether it's a placebo or I don't know, but I think it does a great deal of good. I don't think smoking it does you any good, not in the way of curing anything. I think it's better than drinking, that's for sure. It's a great thing to relax with. It broadens your mind. It doesn't numb your brain. It expands your thoughts. Alcohol just seems to do the opposite, in my opinion. It seems to retard the possibilities in life. It makes you do stupid things. The only good thing about it is probably most of us wouldn't be here without it, if you know what I mean. In my experience, well, that's what people say, but in my experience, possibly, but not always. Certainly not always. So, there are still people out there who believe, and it is a belief, a religion, that they are living on a spinning ball which is hurtling in 4 different directions through the infinite vacuum of space to where nobody knows, and it's just so much bullshit. So we live in a pressurized environment, and to think that we live next to a vacuum is an impossibility. Okay, the globals will come back and say, well, it's gravity. Right, okay, there's no proof of gravity. There's not hardly any evidence that I can see of it. When you've got the age-old saying, what goes up must come down, that's obvious. And the reasons for that is, well, if that's heavier than the air, which can't support it, down it goes. Well, they'll say then, why doesn't it go sideways instead of down to the ground? Which, when I first heard that question posed, I was a bit stuck. I just thought, what a nonsensical approach to it. Of course it's going to go down, but then I realised in their world there's no such thing as up and down in space. In the vacuum of space, there's no such thing as up and down. Well, okay then. So how come a plane would be flying upside down on the ball if it was in the flying to New Zealand from Britain, it would have to fly, when it got there, upside down. And that's not in space. I know the ball is supposedly in space, but the plane isn't. So explain that one, smart ass. But okay, they will say gravity to the fact that things go, why don't they go sideways instead of down? And I will say, well, gravity is bullshit. Of course, it's not been proven. It's just a ridiculous theory that they've built some even more ridiculous machine to test it, called LIGO. I think the clue is in the title of what they've called it. And well, it just gets worse or better, depending on your point of view. The excuses get worse, and their ridiculous concepts just get better and better, and more ridiculous. You know, the more ridiculous they are, the better they become, from my point of view, because they're far more easy to tear down.
Jazz interlude. Good to have a jazz interlude, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like a sort of what? A minor.
So there is no up and down in space, but we're not in space. That's why there is an up and a down, and that's why things fall down. Because the air cannot support them. Now, time of year it is now, we see butterflies and bees and flies and all sorts of things flying around, which defy their gravity, yet the moon can pull the water towards it, apparently. Of course, that's bullshit, but why doesn't it pull all the bees and flies and wasps towards it as well? Oh, I see, it needs a big mass, does it, to pull? Well, can water be called a big mass? It's fluid, so I don't think so. And why doesn't it pull all the air with it? It's just so much nonsense. I can't understand why I ever believed in it in the first place. So they've got this idea that we're living on a spinning ball. It's a religious idea. It's a cult movement. And the thing with a cult is, if you leave the cult, which I have, and many people are doing daily, the people who are still in the cult try to get you to come back into it, and they use ridicule and then eventually you'll just get ignored, and they'll pretend that you're not really there, and they know the truth supposedly, and we are just well, we're the heathen now. Yeah, it's funny how things go. But the vacuum of space, of course, doesn't exist. It cannot exist. Do you understand? It cannot exist next to our pressurized air. The air all around us. We know we can measure the air pressure. We know it's real. So the vacuum of space, of course, cannot exist next door to it. So, okay, the only way it could exist is if there's some kind of barrier between us and the vacuum. Which means that when supposed astronauts go up in their supposed rockets, which they never do. Nobody ever gets on a rocket and blasts off to supposed space. That's insane. If they did that, then they would have to crash through a barrier, which they've never seen them do it, but we've never seen them go to the vacuum of space either. You can see the rocket blast off from the, Cape Kennedy or whatever it's called, or wherever they take off from, and they always go into the sea, by the way. They always go into the sea. They always blast off and then lean over into the sea. The splashdown comes a lot sooner than you think. And it's just a rocket, nobody's in it. So why not put a camera on the rocket and take us all the way to the fake station on like a webcam on your helmet, a helmet cam, okay, make it a GoPro, I don't give a shit. Put it on there, let's see you blast off with it running all the time, all the way to the fake station. Go through the airlock into the fake station, shake the guy's hand and all that. That has not happened because it can't. Of course they could now, not because I've said it, but loads of people have said it, and perhaps they will do that now. But if you've seen the movie Gravity, they can do anything. I mean, some thick person said, did they actually go to space to film that? Sometimes you really do. Well, I do. I despair at the ignorance of others. Not at well, generally the people who know the Earth's flat are pretty smart, apart from the ones who go on breakfast TV and make a right fucking mess of it. But anyway, I think they must be they must have a different agenda to the one I have. All I want to do is spread the truth, and that's it. That's all. But these people seem to want to derail the awakening, or send it in a direction that it will end up no better than we are now. In other words, we'll just remain slaves to the system. The system will beat us. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. I'm getting on. I'm going deeper and deeper. Like the only Jamiroquai record I ever thought that I could actually listen to, because most of it's such pish, which was I think it was the theme for the theme. Is that correct? Well, it was a song that was on a Godzilla film, which was, utter nonsense. But I kind of took it to heart because of what I knew I was going to eventually do many years later, and those many years have now passed, and I'm here doing it. Anyway, see you later.